right? So we have a good discussion today. I'm hoping by the end of today's discussion, we'll be shooting out some apologies to the CDC, right? You may be asking, Dr. Pierre, like, why should we be giving apologies to the CDC? Because, again, and I'll go back, right? I'm gonna go back. Like, since the pandemic, there's been a huge contingent of people who have found ways to denigrate the CDC, put down the CDC, try to take away, its level of influence and importance in our nation, right? They've been doing it since the pandemic, doing it before that, but the pandemic, it rose to a different level. But what I've said, and I've always said, even when y'all were doing it with the vaccine, is that y'all can't pick and choose when we want to follow the CDC. Y'all can't pick and choose when the CDC is this authority we should listen to, an authority we should pay no mind to because they're bought out by the government and Dr. Fauci. I've been telling y'all can't do that, because there's going to be a time where you are going to walk lock, step, and key with the CDC, and you're going to have no problems doing it. Now, of course, when they say, hey, you know what, you should social distance, you should wear a mask, people start talking about their freedoms and their rights. But when they say, hey, don't eat that salad, don't eat that meat, people fall in line very quickly. Very quickly. So let's talk about it. We are, and of course, obviously, this is an unfortunate situation that's occurring as we speak. But in the article, if you can't see behind me, CDC says 9 now dead in Listeria outbreak linked to deli meat. And where's the deli meat coming from? Boars Head, the company, right? I have a Publix down here in South Florida, and, their main meat is Boars Head. I don't know how Boars Head is around, the nation, but I know in South Florida, Boars Head Meat is everywhere. And they had to have a recall of about 7 million. That is 7 million with an M. 7 million pounds of meat had to be recalled because of this bug. Oh, you can't see because my green screen. Oh, there you go. Listeria, right? And we'll talk a little bit about Listeria. We'll have a little bit of a microbiology class in a minute. Listeria is definitely one of those bugs, one of those foodborne bugs that we become very concerned about. Someone said Detroit Red Pop says very good brand, very popular. So we all know about Boar's Head. We're all aware about Boar's Head. But guess what? CDC says, hey, you know what? Boar's Head. And we'll talk a little. We might even talk a little politics. Probably not, but we could get down to that level if it gets in that direction. But CDC said, hey, you know what? Boar's Head, we have determined that you have a bacteria in your meat. Why you have that bacteria in your meat? We can have a good discussion on that. But I don't think that's important right now, because 9 people are dead right now. 9 people have died. 57 people have been, affected, ill, and more is to come. Unfortunately, more is to come. This isn't the number's not stopping here. Even though, and I don't want people to, freak out for a little bit. They've recalled all the meat. So the meat that was out there, they're no longer further selling. But again, if you bought it during that time frame, and you're a person, you may buy some lunch meat, keep it in the back, and not really think about it, and then you get hungry in the middle of the night, there may be some concern, right? So CDC, I want to talk about this article behind me. And for those who don't know, we do this every Thursday. On the YouTube page, we will put this video to the link. We'll have this video on our YouTube page tomorrow with a link to any article that I mentioned. So it announces at this point, 9 people dead from Listeria outbreak, 57 people reported to be sick from 14 more than earlier month, right? So this has been something that's been growing for the past few months. 18 states it has affected. 6 deaths include 1 in Florida, Tennessee, New Mexico, New York, 2 in South Carolina, with the first being in Illinois, New Jersey, and Virginia. So this is everywhere, right? This is everywhere. I'm in Florida. We got 1 in Florida. We got 1 in Tennessee. There's 1 in New York, 1 in New Mexico. This is nationwide. And thankfully, because we're rocking with the CDC today, right? Like, if any, most days, I know folks not rocking with the CDC, especially if you've been on my prior lives. Typically, you will hear people in the comments say, oh, the CDC's trash, the CDC's bought out, the CDC can't be trusted. You're not gonna see people put those comments in articles like this. This is why I love it, right? Oh, did someone ask a very good question? We're gonna definitely get to that question. You're not going to see those same people who are saying, just like, I think we talked about COVID last week. Last week, we're telling me that the CDC was bought out. Don't listen to nothing the CDC says. No one is on this chat today going to be like, I'm not listening to the CDC. I want that meat. You're not going to hear anyone. You're not going to hear none of those comments, right? Because we pick and choose when we want to listen to authority. And when we don't want to listen to authority, we say, nah, don't listen to authority. There's nothing about that authority. Don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. But guess what? This week, those comments, not happening, right? Because no one's going to say, give me the meat that is infected with Listeria. I don't care what the CDC says, right? And I just want us to have a level of consistency, right? If we rocking with the CDC, like y'all know how I rock with the CDC, like again, does the CDC, have some missteps? Could they do some things better? Sure. But to outright say we shouldn't pay them no mind, they don't know what they're talking about, like that's just wild, right? And I know it's wild because when they say don't eat meat, this was deli meat. Someone's asking what type. This is deli meat. When they say don't eat meat, guess what? People are going to go to their refrigerator and say, oh, you know what? CDC said don't eat that meat. CDC says, hey, don't, when Chipotle had a little issue, don't eat the salad. Like when the CDC says something, especially when it comes to food, y'all are pumping all brakes because y'all know better, right? So again, I just want to make sure we don't try to, again, let's give our props to CDC the way we need to give our props to CDC. Boars Head, because someone asked a question. Someone said, Jan Garrick Dino says, well, that's why they took everything out a month ago. Oh, yes. Right. And unfortunately, and we'll talk a little bit about when it comes to Listeria. Listeria is one of those bacteria that can hang around. They can hang around, right? Like I'm going, like if you follow me, I got one of my videos that's getting a little traction because I told people, hey, you probably shouldn't just go drinking glacier water because there's some stuff in the glacier water that, your body may not be prepared for. And they're doing it as we speak, are arguing against the fact that I'm saying don't drink glacier water. Again, right? I know everyone has their rights. I know everyone's their freedom. But as a physician, I would not be me if I didn't say, hey, that might be dangerous. I'm not saying that is dangerous. I'm not saying that you can't have any deli meat right now. I'm just saying the CDC says, hey, Boar's Head, some of that meat that came from that specific warehouse got bacteria in it. Stop all presses. And they had to remove we said this before, 7 million pounds had to be taken away, right? And trust me, no one's blinking. No one's fighting. No one's screaming, hey, you're taking away my right to eat that bacteria-infected meat. No one's screaming that, right? Again, I'm just here to just point out the obvious in case y'all don't see what's happening here, right? So again, unfortunately, we had 9 people who have passed away. Again, the number is likely going to be higher. Hey, Millie, how you doing? It's likely going to be higher. We're likely going to see more people get ill, more people die from this Listeria. And the reason I kind of mentioned earlier, Listeria is one of those bugs that will stay around. It will stay around. It will stay around on those meat slicers. It will stay around in your refrigerator. So you can put it in the refrigerator. It's going to live. It's going to live and chill there. Right? It has nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. So you can put it in the refrigerator, you can put it in a little freezer. It's going to be here for a little bit. Now, if you heat it up, now I don't know how high, and I wouldn't even test it if I wanted to. But if you heat it up, yes, you can kill it with extreme heat, right? But who want to test it? Who want to have Listeria infected meat and say, oh, let me just cook out the Listeria? Who want to do that, right? If you're in the comments, go ahead and say it. Just like if you're, again, my anti-vaxxers, if you are in the comments and you were talking you crazy about the CDC and you said, hey, I want you to stand up and say, yeah, I would rather eat that Listeria infected meat than listen to the CDC. Of course, you're not going to say that because you're not dumb, right? You're not going to do that. You'd be silly. You'd be silly to do it. So what does Boar Head say? Boar Head initially recalled its Strasburger brand liverwurst late July because it had the potential to be adulterated with Listeria. Like, this is how they affected it. All right, so the meat, so someone's asking what meats were affected. So right now we know liverwurst was the big one. So they took away all of the liverwurst. That seems to be the most primarily one. I'm looking to see if there was any other meat they went after. So far I'm looking like, looks like liverwurst was the big one. Let's see. Let's give, was there any other meat affected by the Listeria outbreak? I'm checking doing my searching. For those who may know, one of my favorite search engines I like to use. I'm not a big Google. I like using Google, but I like using Perplexity. It's a little bit more, in depth in regards to the types. So the types of meat that had to be recalled, right? Because this is a very good question. Ham, beef, liverwurst. There was some poultry that had to be recalled. And it was all originated from this specific warehouse. So ham, beef, liverwurst, poultry had to be recalled. 7 million pounds. 7 million pounds of it had to be recalled. So just in case you're looking, right? And if you do some searching, like I said, when I post this on my YouTube page, I will put a link to some of the Boar's Head, statements and articles, so you can kind of see exactly which products to look for, just in case you happen to be buying, Boar's Head meat in the past month or so, and it might be in your refrigerator. Let me tell you something. If you got some Boar's Head meat in your refrigerator, you don't remember last time it's been bought, just throw it away. We don't even need to play the game to see if it, I threw out all deli meat. Like, deli meat was out of here. Like, hey, deli meat gone, right? Nah. Like, if I bought that, it's out of here. I don't care where it came from. It's gone, right? That's what I would do. That's what I would recommend if you are a patient of mine, to just throw it away, right? But they say, right, just in case you want to know, sell by dates ranging from July 29th to October 17th. So if the product says, hey, you need to be sold by this date, there's a possibility that it could be in, that batch of the Listeria. So what is Listeria, right? What is Listeria? Bacteria. It is a bacteria, foodborne. We talked about it. Foodborne illness, right? And typically, what's most foodborne illness? You can find it in milk, you can find it in cheese, you can find it in meats. It's typically going to cause GI-like symptoms, right? The nausea, the vomiting. But what happens when it gets severe? You get severely dehydrated. Some people have been developing meningitis, right? Oh, Doc, how is Listeria removed? Oh, good question, right? We're gonna have that very good question, Billy. People get meningitis, headaches, stiff neck, confusion, and this is all in the lines of meningitis. This is what typically occurs when you get meningitis, right? So if you have a mild symptom of Listeria, you get the GI-related issues, right? May get a fever, may get some muscle aches, but you get a lot of nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, right? You get the GI. If it gets severe, you get a headache, stiff neck, you get confused, meningitis, death, right? Like that's kind of the order of operations if it gets to that point. Now, again, a lot of people have been affected, right? 57 people have reported to be affected. There have been some people that you probably might have had it, right? But you thought it was like a stomach bug, didn't think nothing of it, and you kept it moving, right? And others were like, all right, this is much worse than expected. And then when they're doing their tracking, here it goes, right? So very good question there, right? So someone said, let me see here. So, we had a good question. Millie says, how is Listeria removed from refrigerated surfaces and home appliances? So thankfully, it's not one of these bugs, right? It's not one of these bacteria bugs that you need, wipes out 99.9% of material, right? You know how we have to do with COVID, right? So most of your cleaning products, if you clean it, will take care of the job, right? So it's not resistant to a majority of our typical house, KitchenAid cleaning products. I want to say all, because then someone will be like, oh, what about this one, right? But a majority of your cleaning products, as long as it's wiped down, cleaned up right, will take care of the Listeria, right? But again, if you don't do that, right, and that's why we talked about the fact that it will live around if you just let it, right? So if you don't happen to clean your meat slicer, it's just kind of sitting in the back of your refrigerator, nothing's killing it. Like it's going to sit there, it's going to grow, it's going to do what it needs to do from that perspective there. But if your typical cleaning products will take care of the problem that needs to arise, right? So very good question. Very good question. And again, someone asked, obviously, how do we diagnose it? It's usually blood related, right? We do some blood, or we have to do a spinal fluid, right? And why do we typically have to do a spinal fluid? Because if you are developing neurological symptoms, that means it's gotten into the nervous system. And that's where when we talk about meningitis, right? Inflammation of the meninges, aka the fluid in the spinal cord and everything else. That's where, and of course, if it's in the spinal cord, it can go up to the brain and then die, right? Again, we have 9 people who so far have passed away from this infected meat. 9 people, at least at this point here. We likely expect more. To come. Yes. Oh, very good question. Millie says, can you survive Listeria meningitis if you get medical treatment? Yes, you can, because it is not a significant bacteria where it's resistance to the treatments we have. We got a lot of great antibiotics that will knock, like I said, that's why I say like cleaning products will easily take it out, right? So it's not it's not as if when we're thinking about MRSA or we're thinking about an ESBL, one of these like really bad bacteria that you need a heavy, big gun antibiotic. So if we get you in the hospital, right, and we catch it early and we hit you with antibiotics, like we'll do well. Right. But of course, obviously, like always, the earlier, the better. The earlier we can catch this issue, the more likely that you are going to survive from said issue. Right. If we catch it late, we can throw, the whole bus at you from a antibiotic perspective. And it may not be enough because the damage may already be done. So obviously, the earlier, the better. But yes, we have plenty of antibiotics that'll take care of it. It's not one of these bacteria that are like severely resistant to our treatment options. We got plenty of treatment options for it. But the problem is most people don't know, like, all right, like what's going on? Like most people don't know that it's happening until it becomes a problem. Sparkle says, is it in ground turkey? So right now, what they've seen, and again, I'm just go back to it just to make sure. They've seen it in, Sparkle says, is it in ground turkey? They've seen it in ham, beef, poultry, produced at a facility in Virginia. Right, ham, beef, poultry, produced at a facility. Liverwurst was another one that was named at a specific facility in Virginia. Jarrett. I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly. Jarrett, Virginia. Right. So, indeed, this is a problem of concern. Again, thankfully, our friends at the CDC, who we love and respect. Right. Yes, they can cause problems, right? They can cause problems at times, right? They can cause problems at times with us, right? We can butt heads just like family. We can butt heads, but we have to recognize that they are still a significant authority, especially when it comes to the public health and well-being of our country, right? So they are going to be the ones who like, hold on, like this person got sick and that person got sick. No, we got to do some investigation because that's weird. Right, that's like, hold on. Why is these people getting sick from Listeria? Like, where is it? Like, you start having to do these things. Like, a lot of times we talk about, especially when we're talking about cruises, and we're like, everyone gets this GI bug at a cruise, right? The CDC is like, hold on, let's see if there's an outbreak going on that we need to notify the public on, right? So again, the CDC is letting us know, hey, we are aware of what's going on, right? We know where it's coming from. And we're taking action, right? And Millie hit right on the head. The standards of production cleaning have gone out the window. Too many recalls, right? Again, y'all know. First of all, y'all know I actually don't care. But like when we talk about elections having consequences, like this is a part of it. So when we had President Trump in office, he relaxed a lot of the rules and regulations for a lot of these businesses to kind of do what they do, right? And these rules and regulations were there, right, to make it seem like, hey, you had a checks and balance you needed to go through when you're giving us, product. And of course, if you're a business, for the business to do that checks and balance is going to cost them some money. So when you have an election that says, hey, you know what? You don't got to do all that now. Go ahead. We're cool. It's not surprising that downwind effects of more recalls, more things that are happening that likely shouldn't have been happening start happening, right? Like, it is what it is, right? And again, Millie said it costing lives. So again, elections have consequences, and a lot of times we don't see the consequences immediately. A lot of times we don't see the immediate consequence because it's a downwind issue, right? And this is one of the downwind issues that now we're having to catch up. I mean, we see Boeing, right, and their airplanes. You see what their airplanes are doing, right? Like, you see these food recalls, right? Like there are reasons why they weren't happening as frequently before that they're happening around. There are reasons for it, right? Again, elections have consequences. Make sure you get registered to vote. Make sure you get registered to vote, y'all. Like, it's serious. So understand that when you see this news, right? 9 dead, Listeria. What should I do, right? Because again, you want to make sure you're not a part of that. Look to see in your refrigerator if you've bought any meats in the past month and a half. Go all the way to July, right? Because some people will have meats in there. They just throw it in the back. They forgot about it. It's in there. Check your refrigerator today. If you got any type of deli meats that's been there for a couple months, first of all, throw that out and clean your refrigerator. First of all, throw that meat out. I don't care where the meat. I don't even care. I don't care if it didn't come from Boar's Head. To be safe, if you are my patient, I would say throw it out. Clean your refrigerator out. Like I said, you could do your whole bleach and everything. I don't know if you need to go full bleaching your whole refrigerator, but if that makes you comfortable, right? If that reduces your anxiety level, rock out, right? Again, protect yourself, right? With, the bleach and the fumes and everything else. Because again, the Listeria can grow and it can sit there, it can chill. And we don't want no problems with it, right? We don't want to be affected, right? We don't want to be a part of the statistic of people affected with this Listeria. And right now, Boar's Head is just kind of sitting back, right? They're just waiting for more people to get sick. They're just waiting for more people to pass away because they know it's going to happen, right? And even though we recalled all of the food, that we can, right, we're still going to have to deal with the fact that that food got out there. People have bought it. It's sitting in people's refrigerators. So we need the CDC, right? We need people like the CDC to be like, all right, hey, let me get on my bullhorn and say, hey, don't eat that meat, right? And again, like I said, it's one of those things, right? Like, and Millie's been on my live, so she understands and she knows when I start talking about COVID, how many people are telling me that the CDC is this, the CDC is that. But when the CDC says don't eat blank, all of a sudden those people are absent. Those people have disappeared. Those people are nowhere to be found, right? So we got to, again, we got to be careful. We got to protect ourselves. Like I said, we are going to post this video tomorrow, right? I have a link to, a little link to, some Listeria information, just in case you want to read about it. Again, not much to really read about. Just stay away from it. We'll have some information about the Boar's Head recall, what you can do for it, especially if you're concerned. Because like I said, Boar's Head gave some great detail on, looking at certain packages of the meat. There's certain numbers on the packages that you can say, oh, you know what, get that out of here. So definitely be concerned. Remember, the states that are affected, just in case you think, oh, I live in blank, so I don't have to worry about it. Florida, Tennessee, New Mexico, South Carolina, Illinois, New Jersey, Virginia. It's everywhere, right? It's out there, right? So please be careful, right? Please be careful. Take care of yourself. Like I said, I know right now. Yeah. They're gonna bring the data. Yeah, that's what I love it. They're gonna bring us the data regardless. Whether we like them or not, they're gonna let us know, hey, this is what's happening here, right? So please be careful. Like I said, I know right now, like my timeline currently is just dealing with a lot of people who are mad because I told them don't drink glacier water. Again, like I said, all I can do, like the CDC, is be the messenger. All I can do, like the CDC, when they say, hey, 9 people have died with Listeria, all I can do is bring you the message. So if I say, hey, guys, I probably wouldn't drink glacier water if I were you, because there may be some things in there that may cause some problems. Again, like, I don't want to strip your freedoms and rights away from drinking that glacier water. It just is what it is, right? So y'all be blessed. Y'all have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. Remember, COVID flare up is still COVID. COVID is still doing COVID things. So protect yourself from there, but obviously protect yourself from, we got bad meats, right? And you know what? The likelihood that there's going to be more things down the pipeline is higher than it not happening, unfortunately, right? So y'all be blessed. Y'all have a great weekend. Check out the profile. Like I said, it will be on our YouTube page. If you like listening to podcasts, this audio will be on the podcast as well. I am yours truly, Dr. Pierre.